So this morning we've got the big reveal.
Welcome to episode number 4 of the Unimog Camper Build. In this episode we will be stripping out the cab and preparing the floor for the sound insulation. As you can see, the first step is to remove the seats and everything else that's in the way. To my surprise, the seats were actually attached with quite a lot of bolts and screws and stuff, so it took a little bit longer than I anticipated. And as some of you know, I hate working with dirty stuff, so I regularly clean whatever it is I'm working on. The driver's seat is only attached with 4 bolts, but they are inside this, well, almost a box, so once you've got the right tools it comes out really easily. As this is an ex-military vehicle, there's a lot of straps for rifles and holders for various other things too. So we're taking these out one by one organically rather than discarding everything and then figuring out that we should actually have left something in. The door sills or trims, whatever you want to call them, are attached with pop rivets on our Unimog. So to get them out, there is nothing else to do than just get the drill and start drilling and cursing and prying and then grinding them off and then punching them out or something like that. As I'm no fan of pop rivets, we're gonna change every pop rivet to a riv nut or nutsert so that we can undo the bolts rather than having to do this fandango of drilling them out every time. Apart from your regular drill, I find these small tools like a rotary tool, also known as a Dremel, or this little long neck Proxon angle grinder very handy for these sort of tiny grinding jobs. If you're going to drill out a lot of pop rivets, you can buy a specific anti-pop rivet gun drill that is shaped to drill the head off. I didn't have one, I just used a little bit more brute force. And now it's time to bring out the big guns. This is a twisted wire wheel on an angle grinder. This thing is vicious. Make sure you're wearing eye protection, ear protection and a face mask. As you can see, this thing removes rust, paint, any other thing that's in the way very quickly. It is really useful. But you can also see the smoke and dust it creates. As we're watching me make some dust and dirt here, I thought I'd comment a little bit about the video style. I know these aren't those snappy regular YouTube videos that just bish bosh bang and everything is done. I wanted to show you the process and what's involved and how we do things rather than what's the best way to doing things. I also don't mind showing you our mistakes and errors, hindsights and stuff like that. However, I'm open to change, and if you would rather see something else, leave a comment down in the section there below or wherever they've moved it to, and let me know what you think about this. Would you like to see more of this, or do I need to make it snappier? Thank you. The reason for using a sander here is that the POR15 paint that we're going to use does not stick to shiny surfaces. So we need to at least scuff up the surface so that it gets a good adhesion. And here you can see us clean the cab floor. We're wiping it with mineral spirits and hoovering it, of course. There are some adhesive that we need to get rid of that is from the vinyl mats that was there originally. We want to paint over that, so it has to go. So there was a tiny bit of rust in this area here. That will be obviously painted. And then found a little bit of rust in this seam here. Hopefully we'll just drench that with POR15. There was some plugs in these ones. Other than that, it looks pretty alright. Still need to dust it a bit more to get rid of everything. But that's for tomorrow. This one was obviously covered with a piece of plastic vinyl thingy, and with some contact adhesive, I think. I've removed that. I'm going to put riv nuts in these ones and just put nuts in there. That means that we can maybe build a center console using those nuts, riv nuts later on. Also, I will be painting the cab without riv nuts in these, so that there will be paint around the holes, and then put a riv nut in, and hopefully that will prevent rust. I'll show you the other side too. This side was a little bit worse. It had a little bit of rust here under where the driver's feet had been, but nothing serious. And then I made sure that there was no rust in this seam, which there wasn't. The major rust is in here. It's a bit too dark now to see it. I'll try to make a better picture tomorrow. But yeah, you can hear that probably. And then I also checked this seam here all the way up to there. Seems all good. Yeah, and no major problems here either. Nothing hiding under these. So all good. So I'll probably mask up this area tomorrow up to there. Might do up to there, and then like that, something. The most important bit is that the lower part of the floor is covered in POR15, so that if there is water running down from somewhere into here, this stays resilient to the rust, and that's the idea. Another day, and the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to cover the exposed areas in the cab that we were exposing yesterday with this stuff. This is the PR15 rust remover. It is basically, what's it called, phosphoric acid, and apparently it neutralizes the rust or something like that. So hopefully this will make sure that wherever the wire wheel hasn't reached, this will chemically get into that and kill those nasty rusty thingies. But now it says that it should be, everything should be submerged in this one. Now with a little bit of common sense, I don't think I can submerge the Unimog in this. So I'm going to do the next best thing and use a squirty bottle and try to drench it in that. Now then it says I have to rinse it all off, which seems a little bit counterintuitive to me, but I believe the reason for that is that it needs to be neutralized so that it doesn't screw up things further. So again, I'm going to use a squirty bottle and try to get it all off with rags and paper towels and whatever, so to get it dry. So that's the first thing that we're gonna try now. So you wouldn't believe what happened next. As this section is a little bit boring and pretty much just a time lapse, why don't we get the funk out? Now it's time to mask up the area that we're going to paint. I'm just putting masking tape down so it doesn't look like I've just splashed paint willy-nilly everywhere, and obviously I'm masking things that should not have any paint on it. I have masked the perimeter of the floors on each side. I have tried to do a fairly decent job, especially where I think I'm going to drip. I have just give a quick hoover vacuum. I have down here I've got a paint pot with a sacrificial brush, goggles, PR15, opening, gloves, some rags, some tissues, and I've got a protective jacket there. And then I have some rock straps here that I can attach to the door there, so I can keep the door open, so that I can pull this aside here, so that I can get paint in under there. So this is what it looks like. I hope you can hear me because it's quite windy today, which is obviously annoying from paint drying point of view. So I just painted the perimeter. All the holes need to be coated. The seams are now done with the rust converter thingy or whatever it was. So yeah, it's time for paint. So the objective of this is not to create a show car paint finish. What I am intending with this is to cover any rust so that it gets neutralized, and then we can put the sound insulation on top of that. So the paint that I'm actually about to put down will probably never be seen. Before we paint, let's just have a look at the driver's side. I put plastic bags over the pedals, got a nice seam there, up to there, up to there, there. Apparently that's come off. I've done a good enough job. There we go, and then into here, so be able to paint all of that, and then up to here. So hopefully that should be enough. Okay, it's now been about 2.5 hours since I painted on the first coat, and things could have gone better, obviously, always can. It's too windy today to just leave the doors open, which scuppered another plan, which was to just leave the seals hanging, and so I pulled the seals out underneath the door and closed the door, and that in turn resulted in the seals being squished onto the paint, which wasn't a good thing. Other than that, there's a lot of dust in the paint, so I'm very pleased I'm not painting a custom car or something like that, just a 30-year-old Unimog floor. So what I've done now is I have taped over the grey parts, i.e. the semi-wet paint, a little bit at least, and then I hung it up like this, and that means that now when the door closes it'll go inside and it'll leave this area here clean and clear. As you can see over here, I hope, there's a lot of dust in there. Not ideal, not catastrophic. Anyway, so now I'm gonna get into my Smurf hands, and then I'm going to do another coat, and hopefully then we can shut the door, and tomorrow morning it'll be hard as nails, or hard as POR 15 actually.
So this morning we've got the big reveal. Well, it's not really a big reveal. It's just a paint job of our POR 15ing on the Unimog floor. That's enough for this episode. Thanks for following our build so far. Yoka is going to get straight back to editing videos now, as the next episode is not far behind. Next we will be attempting to negate the need for ear defenders whilst driving our Unimog. We will be installing Silent Coat sound deadening and the Atkinson Voss rubber mat kit. There's another episode coming shortly, so please subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. See you next time, and don't forget to like and share.